I've cried in a salon chair more times than I'd like to admit. Not because of a bad cut, but because I finally saw what the right one could do. If you're over 60 and you feel like your hair is quietly aging you faster than your face ever could, this video is going to change how you think about every appointment you book from here on out. I'm going to walk you through 5 specific haircuts that don't just flatter mature women. They visibly take years off, add richness, and read as elegant instead of tired. I researched the best haircuts and styling fixes for women over 50, so you get real results fast. If you haven't already, hit subscribe. I cover this every week. Part 1. The lob that rebuilds your jawline. Here's something most women never hear from their stylist. Length past the collarbone doesn't read as youthful past 60. It reads as tired, no matter how healthy it is. The weight pulls everything down. Your jawline disappears into it. Your face looks longer than it is, and the ends just hang there doing nothing for you. I know that sounds harsh, but I watched a woman named Rosalind sit in a chair for 20 years insisting her long hair was her signature look. And she genuinely believed cutting it would age her. It was doing the opposite the whole time. The fix is a textured lob that lands right at or just above the collarbone. Not a blunt lob, a lob with movement built into it. The magic is in where the layers start. Ask your stylist for internal layers beginning at cheekbone level, with the perimeter left slightly heavier for weight and shine. That phrasing matters. Internal layers give you lift and movement without losing density, and keeping the perimeter heavier stops the ends from looking wispy or thin, which is the #1 complaint women have after a layered cut goes wrong. Here's why this specific length works when nothing longer does. The collarbone lob sits exactly at the point where it can graze the jaw and cheek when you move your head, which creates a soft frame instead of a heavy curtain. That grazing motion is what stylists call kinetic framing. The hair does the flattering work for you every time you turn your head, laugh, or look down at your phone. Longer hair can't do that. It just sits there, static, pulling your whole face down with it. The result is immediate and it's not subtle. Rosalind finally agreed to the cut after her daughter sent her a photo comparison from a magazine. 3 weeks later, at a family dinner, her sister-in-law asked her what she'd done differently. Not what haircut she got, just what had changed, because the effect read as an overall shift, not a specific styling choice. That's the tell that a haircut is working the way it should. People notice the change before they can name the cause. There's a second piece most women skip, and it's the reason some lobs still fall flat. You need face framing pieces that are cut slightly shorter than the rest, starting around the cheekbone and angling down to the jaw. Without this, a lob just looks like long hair that got shorter. It doesn't actually reshape how your face reads. With it, the shortest pieces sit right where your jawline softens with age, and they visually redraw that line for you. Ask specifically for face framing pieces 2 inches shorter than the base length, angled toward the chin. The color conversation matters here too. Even though this is a cut-focused fix, a collarbone lob with 0 dimension can look flat under salon lighting, and even flatter under regular indoor light at home. You don't need a full color service to fix this. Ask your colorist for face framing balayage, 2 shades lighter, painted only on the pieces that hit the jaw. This isn't a full head of highlights. It's targeted, it's subtle, and it makes the framing pieces catch light in a way that pulls attention up toward your eyes instead of down toward your neck. Before this cut, Rosalind's hair length was doing exactly what long, weighted hair does to a mature face, pulling it downward, flattening the jaw, aging the whole silhouette by association. After the collarbone lob with internal layers and face framing balayage, her jawline reads sharper, her face reads shorter and more lifted, and the color does the work of drawing the eye up rather than down. It's not a dramatic before and after in the way a full color change would be. It's quieter than that, and that's exactly why it works. It looks like she just looks like herself, only clearer. Now here's the thing nobody tells you about the second haircut on this list. It's the one most stylists recommend to women who think they're too old for anything with real texture in it. And it's usually the opposite of what they expect to hear. Part 2. The shag that reads as rich, not wild. There's a rumor that's kept mature women out of shag haircuts for a decade, and it needs to die today. The rumor is that shags look messy or unkempt on older women, that all that texture reads as trying too hard past a certain age. It's backwards. A shag cut correctly is one of the richest, most expensive-looking haircuts available to women over 60, because the layering technique it's built on is the same one used on runway hair. It just gets marketed differently depending on who's wearing it. I met a woman named Colette at a salon in her building's lobby, waiting for her appointment, and she told me she'd wanted a shag for 3 years, but kept talking herself out of it because she was scared it would look too young or try hard. What she didn't realize is that the version of a shag built for women in their 60s and 70s isn't the choppy, disconnected version you see on 20-somethings. It's built with softer, longer layers and way less texturizing at the ends. The exact phrasing to use with your stylist is long shag with soft layering starting at the chin, minimal point cutting at the ends, and a fuller fringe left long enough to sweep to the side. That last part is critical. Most shags fail on mature hair because the fringe gets cut too short and too choppy, which draws attention to forehead lines instead of away from them. A longer, sweeping fringe does the opposite. It softens the whole upper face and gives you something to tuck behind your ear when you want a different look without touching a pair of scissors. The layering itself is what creates richness. Soft layers starting at the chin build volume specifically at the crown and through the mid-lengths, which is exactly where mature hair tends to lose density first. Instead of fighting thinning hair with more product or more time under a dryer, this cut builds the illusion of thickness directly into the shape. That's the difference between styling around a problem every single morning and having a haircut that solves it for you before you even pick up a brush. Colette went through with it, and the results surprised even her stylist. 2 weeks later, she was at her granddaughter's dance recital, and another grandmother she'd known for years leaned over and asked where she got that cut. Not because it looked young, but because it looked expensive. That's the specific compliment this haircut earns. Not "you look younger," but "you look like you spend real money on your hair," which, incidentally, is a compliment that ages a woman upward in status rather than downward in years. It reframes the whole conversation. There's one more detail that makes or breaks this cut on mature hair specifically, and it's rarely mentioned. The layers need to be cut dry, not wet. Hair that's naturally more brittle or textured with age behaves differently once it's dry than the same hair does soaking wet. And a shag cut on wet hair alone often ends up shorter and choppier than intended once it dries and the natural texture takes over. Ask for a dry cut check at the end to finalize the layer lengths. Any stylist experienced with mature hair will know exactly what that means and will expect the request. Before, Colette's hair sat flat against her scalp with no dimension, which flattened her whole presence in photos and in person. After the long shag, she has volume exactly where mature hair needs it most, a fringe that softens her forehead instead of exposing it, and a texture that photographs as rich rather than thin. It's the difference between hair that just exists and hair that actually works for her. If the lob rebuilds your jawline and the shag builds richness through texture, the next cut on this list does something neither of those can. And it's the one most women are terrified to try after 60, for reasons that turn out to be almost entirely wrong. Part 3. The pixie that doesn't age you, when it's cut this way. Let's talk about the fear first, because it's real and it's not irrational. A bad pixie cut can absolutely age a woman past 60. It can expose lines you'd rather soften, flatten what little volume you have left, and leave you feeling like you handed over your femininity along with your hair. That fear is legitimate. But it's a fear of a bad pixie, not of the pixie itself, and almost every bad pixie story traces back to the exact same 3 technical mistakes. I want to introduce you to Diane, who avoided pixies for 9 years after a cut in her mid-50s left her feeling, in her words, like someone else's grandmother. When she finally tried again at 63, with a completely different approach, she cried in the chair, but this time it was the good kind. The difference wasn't confidence. It was the technique. The fix starts with the crown. The number one mistake in mature pixie cuts is cutting the crown too short and too flat, which removes the exact volume that makes a pixie look chic instead of severe. Ask your stylist for extra length left at the crown, cut to stand up with root lift, tapered gradually down the sides and back. That crown height is doing structural work. It elongates the whole head shape and keeps the cut from reading as a helmet, which is the single most common complaint about pixies gone wrong. The second fix is at the nape and around the ears. Most pixie disasters happen because the sides and back are cut too close to the skin, which on mature skin can look harsh and can draw attention to any redness or texture in that area. The correct approach leaves slightly more length there, enough to soften the transition without losing the point of the cut, which is lightness and ease. The specific phrase is soft graduated taper at the nape, not a shaved or clippered finish. The third fix, and the one nobody talks about, is the front pieces. A pixie that's cut the same short length all the way to the hairline exposes the entire forehead with nothing to soften it, which is where a lot of the aging feeling actually comes from. Not the short hair itself, but the sudden total exposure of the face with nothing framing it. The correction is to leave the front pieces slightly longer, angled and swept, so there's a soft edge framing the forehead rather than a hard stop. Ask for longer swept fringe pieces at the front, left to angle across the brow. Diane's result wasn't just a haircut that looked good. It changed how she moved through her mornings entirely. She told me the first time someone complimented her, it wasn't even about the pixie directly. A former colleague she ran into at a farmer's market told her she looked lit from within, which is the kind of thing people say when a haircut has changed the whole quality of light around someone's face, not just the shape of their hair. That's what crown height and soft framing do together. They don't just cut hair short. They redirect how light and attention move across your face. Before, Diane's pixie was flat at the crown and exposed at the front, which is the exact combination that makes a pixie feel aging rather than youthful. After, the lift at the crown and the soft swept fringe give her a shape that reads as intentional and current, not severe. She didn't need more hair to fix the problem. She needed the right length in the right 3 places. There's a reason this next haircut on the list gets requested more than almost any other by name in salons right now. And it has everything to do with what happens the moment the layers catch light. Part 4. The curtain fringe that lifts your whole face. Here's a fact that surprises almost everyone. A well-cut fringe does more to lift a mature face than most facelift-adjacent skincare products combined. And it costs about $40 every 6 weeks. The reason is simple physics, not marketing. A curtain fringe splits and sweeps away from the center of the face, which draws the eye up and out toward the cheekbones instead of down toward the mouth and jaw, which is where gravity naturally pulls attention as we age. The recognition moment here is one I hear constantly. Women tell me they've avoided fringes entirely because a fringe they had decades ago required a flat iron and 40 minutes every single morning, just to keep it from looking like a solid, heavy block sitting on the forehead. That old-style blunt fringe is not what we're talking about here. And it's worth saying clearly, if your only experience with fringes is the thick, blunt version, you've never actually had a curtain fringe, and comparing the two is like comparing a heavy curtain rod to sheer fabric moving in a breeze. The exact request is curtain fringe parted down the center, cut longest at the center part and angling shorter toward the temples, heavily point cut for softness. That point cutting detail is the entire secret. A curtain fringe that's cut with a straight, blunt line across will always want to sit as one solid piece, no matter how you part it. Point cutting, where the stylist cuts tiny vertical snips into the ends rather than one straight horizontal line, breaks the fringe into individual pieces that naturally separate and fall open on their own, without a flat iron, without 40 minutes, without any of the maintenance that scared women away from fringes in the first place. The length matters just as much as the technique. Too short, and it reads as choppy bangs rather than a soft curtain. Too long and it just becomes extra length hanging in your eyes with none of the lifting effect. The correct length lands at or just below the eyebrow at the center part, with the pieces at the temples left long enough to blend into the rest of your layers rather than stopping abruptly. Ask for brow length at the center, blending into face framing layers at the temples, no hard line anywhere. Here's the result that actually matters. And it's not about the fringe looking good on its own. It's about what it does to your whole face in a single glance. Because the fringe sweeps up and out at the temples, it visually lifts the outer corners of your eyes and your brow bone, which is exactly the area that starts to feel heavier with age. It's the same visual effect an eyebrow lift or a brow lamination is trying to achieve, except it happens automatically every time you look in a mirror, with 0 appointments beyond your regular haircut. A woman named Marguerite told me she got her curtain fringe cut before a high school reunion she'd been dreading for a year. She wasn't trying to look younger, she said. She just didn't want to look tired. At the reunion, 3 separate people asked if she'd done something to her eyes. Not her hair. Her eyes. That's the tell that a curtain fringe is working exactly as designed. It doesn't announce itself as a haircut. It reads as rest, as brightness, as a version of you that looks like she slept well. Before, Marguerite's full forehead and straight-back style left nothing to soften the upper part of her face, which meant every line and every bit of heaviness around her brow was fully visible with nothing working in her favor. After the curtain fringe, the sweeping pieces do the lifting work automatically. No styling tools required beyond a quick finger comb in the morning. It's the lowest maintenance haircut on this entire list, and it might be the one with the single biggest visual payoff per minute of upkeep. I've saved the richest looking cut on this list for last, and it's the one that gets mistaken most often for a much more expensive salon service than it actually is. Part 5. The layered cut that looks like old money. There's a specific look that reads as quiet wealth in hair, and most women assume it comes from an expensive color service. It doesn't. It comes almost entirely from one cutting technique that most salons call invisible layering or internal layering. And it's the reason certain women's hair seems to move like silk while everyone else's hair, cut a totally different way, just sits there. I want to be honest about why this one goes last on the list. It's the most technical cut of the 5. It requires the most skilled hands. And it's also the one that takes the longest for most women to trust, because on the surface it doesn't look like it's doing much. There's no dramatic length change, no fringe, no pixie drama. Just hair that, from the outside, looks almost the same length all the way around. And that's exactly the point. The request is specific and it's worth writing down before your next appointment. Invisible layers cut vertically through the interior only, with the perimeter left completely blunt and untouched. The genius of this technique is that from the outside, looking at the ends of your hair, you'd think it was a one-length cut. All the shaping happens underneath, invisible from any normal viewing angle, which is exactly what creates that rich, dense, moving quality instead of the thinner, choppier look that heavy exterior layering can create on mature hair. This matters more for women over 60 specifically because hair density naturally decreases with age, and most layering techniques remove even more visible density from the ends, which is the opposite of what most mature women actually want. Invisible layering does the reverse. It keeps every bit of density visible at the perimeter, while still building movement and lightness underneath, so you get the swing and bounce of a layered cut without ever sacrificing the fullness that makes hair look healthy and expensive in the first place. A woman I'll call Genevieve had this cut done after years of blunt, one-length hair that she described as fine, but flat. And the change wasn't obvious to her at first in the mirror at the salon. It was obvious 3 days later, on a completely ordinary Tuesday, when a barista at her regular coffee shop said, without any prompting, that her hair looked like it belonged in a magazine. Genevieve hadn't done anything different that morning. She'd just washed it and let it air dry, which is precisely the test this cut is built to pass. It has to look expensive with zero effort, or it isn't cut correctly. That's the real marker of invisible layering done well. It's not a cut that looks its best right out of the salon chair with full styling. It's a cut that looks its best on day 3, slightly grown out, minimally styled, because the shape is built into the interior structure of the hair itself rather than depending on a blowout to hold it together. That's what separates a haircut that looks rich from a haircut that just looks recently done. Before, Genevieve's one-length hair was healthy but static, doing nothing to catch light or movement as she walked or turned her head. After the invisible layering, the exact same length now moves, swings, and catches light from underneath while still reading as full and dense at the ends. Nobody at that coffee shop could have told you what specifically changed. They just knew it looked like money. That's 5 haircuts, 5 specific requests you can bring word for word into your next appointment, and 5 completely different ways to look richer, lighter, and years younger without touching a single skincare product. You now know exactly what to say in your next salon chair. Internal layers starting at cheekbone level, a dry cut shag with a swept fringe, crown lift on a pixie, point cut curtain bangs, and invisible interior layering. 5 real requests, not vague hopes, and that's the difference between leaving a salon disappointed and leaving it looking like the richest, most elegant version of yourself. Tell me in the comments which of these 5 you're bringing to your next appointment. I read every single one. Next week I'm breaking down the 3 color mistakes that make expensive highlights look cheap, so you don't waste your next color appointment either. Like this video, subscribe to Timeless Wisdom Path, and I'll see you in the next one.